What separates people who build lasting wealth from those who always seem to be starting over? It's not just about luck. It's not about IQ. And it's definitely not about working 100 plus hours a week. The truth is, financial success doesn't usually show up overnight. It's built slowly, think decades, through consistent habits. Because money doesn't just follow effort, it follows systems, mindset, and behavior. This is the Money Compendium, the channel where we break down the hidden mechanics of wealth and decode how everyday people become financially unstoppable. Today, we're looking at 10 habits that predict long-term financial success. These are the patterns that show up over and over again in the lives of millionaires, self-made entrepreneurs, and financially free people, whether they started broke or not. If you want to build wealth that sticks, it starts here. Number 1. They know their numbers. Wealthy people don't guess. They track, or at least pay someone else to track the numbers for them. Jamal Fields, a mid-level tech recruiter from Ohio, went from living paycheck to becoming a millionaire in just under 8 years. His transformation started with one not-so-glamorous move: opening a spreadsheet. Jamal began tracking every dollar: rent, utilities, gas, groceries, impulse buys, savings, and, most importantly, how much he could invest each month. That single habit gave him clarity, and clarity gave him control. Most people avoid their bank app out of guilt. Wealthy people check it like a scoreboard. When you know your numbers, you stop reacting and start strategizing. Jamal eventually used those insights to cut spending, invest aggressively in index funds, and launch a tech recruiting side hustle that turned into his main business. If you don't know where your money's going, you'll never have any left to grow. Number 2. They automate wealth. Kelsey Nguyen got her first salaried job at 23. Before she even moved into her apartment, she did one thing. She set up automatic transfers. 10% of each paycheck went into a Roth IRA. Another 10 went into a high-yield savings account. She lived off the rest. 5 years later, without obsessing over budgets or depriving herself, Kelsey had saved over $47,000. Why? Because she never saw the money in the first place. It moved before she could spend it. Wealthy people don't rely on willpower. They design systems that take the emotions out of money. Because automation beats motivation every time. It protects you from lifestyle creep and decision fatigue. Whether it's investing, saving, or paying down debt, if you can automate it, you should. Your future self will thank you. Number 3. They invest in skills before assets. Before they buy stocks or real estate, financially successful people invest in themselves. Delgado started flipping used bicycles on Craigslist in his early 20s. After a few profitable months, he could have upgraded his car or gone on vacation. Instead, he spent $300 on an online copywriting course. That single decision gave him the skills to land freelance writing gigs, which led to high-paying agency contracts and eventually his own marketing business. Today, that agency clears 6 figures annually. The biggest ROI wasn't in bikes, it was in knowledge, because skills build income, income builds assets, and assets build freedom. You can lose your job, the market can crash, but nobody can take away your expertise. So find a profitable interest and try taking a course or two to make sure that you have the skills you need to secure your financial future. Number 4. They treat time like currency. We all get 24 hours a day, but only some people treat those hours like they matter. Melissa Ortiz, an e-commerce founder, used to work 80-hour weeks trying to do everything herself. It wasn't until she started tracking her time, just like she tracked her expenses, that she realized most of her hours were being drained by low-value tasks. So she outsourced her inbox, hired a virtual assistant, and invested in automation tools that cost her $600 a month but saved her 20 hours a week. That freed-up time didn't just help her breathe. It helped her scale her brand past 7 figures in revenue. Millionaires treat their calendar like a balance sheet. If something wastes time, they cut it. If something buys time back, they invest. Because the most precious asset you have is not money, it's time. Number 5. They network strategically. David Cho was a struggling consultant, barely making rent when he decided to join a paid mastermind group for solo entrepreneurs. He almost didn't. The fee was a whopping $1,200. But within 6 months, it paid for itself tenfold. One member introduced him to a niche industry. Another gave him leads. A third helped him reposition his offer and raise his prices. Within a year, David's income tripled. Wealthy people don't network aimlessly. They do it strategically. They seek people who challenge them, inspire them, and expose them to better opportunities. They don't just mingle, they align. They surround themselves with mentors, collaborators, and connectors. And most importantly, they don't try to be the smartest person in the room. Because money flows through people. And if you're not building relationships, you're limiting your income potential without even realizing it. Like my professor used to say, get to know the people around you because when it comes time to land that fancy job or make that life-changing deal, it won't be what you know, but who you know that matters most. We've covered the core behaviors that build a strong foundation: tracking your money, automating your systems, building skills, protecting your time, and growing your network. These are the secret levers behind financial liftoff. But building wealth isn't just about getting things right once. It's about what you can replicate. The next 5 habits are about protecting your momentum, thinking decades ahead, and making decisions that stand the test of time. If you're enjoying the video so far, please don't forget to like and subscribe. We absolutely cannot do this without you. Now stay tuned for the next items on the list. Because getting rich is one thing, staying rich, that's where the real discipline starts. Number 6. They avoid lifestyle creep. Trevor Ramos started earning 6 figures by the time he was 27. But you wouldn't have known it. He still lived with roommates, drove his used Corolla, and kept the same modest lifestyle he had when he made $40K a year. Why? Because he understood something most people learn too late. Every dollar you inflate your lifestyle is a dollar you can't invest. Instead of upgrading to a luxury apartment or buying designer brands, Trevor funneled the difference, nearly $100,000 a year, into index funds, a rental property, and a small stake in a mobile app startup. By 33, he wasn't just financially secure, he was free. The lesson? Millionaires upgrade their assets before they upgrade their lifestyle. If you spend like you're rich before you are rich, you'll likely never make it. But if you act broke when you're not, that's how you get wealthy, and more importantly, stay wealthy. Number 7. They learn to love boring money. Meme stocks, crypto pumps, AI startups. The hype is fun, but it rarely lasts. When researchers analyzed the portfolios of long-term millionaires, one pattern kept showing up. They almost always have a boring core. Think broad market index funds, dividend-paying stocks, and real estate, the kind of stuff that doesn't make headlines but builds wealth steadily. Karen Lee, once a full-time day trader, learned this the hard way. After 5 years of emotional whiplash and break-even returns, she shifted 80% of her portfolio into index funds and passive real estate syndications. Ironically, her net worth began compounding faster after she stopped trying to beat the market. Chasing excitement makes you reactive. Building wealth requires consistency, and consistency lives in the boring. As investor Paul Samuelson once said, investing should be more like watching paint dry. If you want excitement, take $800 and go to Las Vegas. Number 8. They create rules for themselves. Self-discipline fails. Systems don't. Tyrone Ellis used to be an impulsive spender until he created a personal rule: no major purchase without a 7-day cooling-off period. That one habit stopped him from buying a $9,000 motorcycle he didn't need and didn't actually want a week later. Another of his rules? Every windfall gets split. 50% invested, 25% saved, 25% enjoyed guilt-free. These aren't restrictions. They're safeguards. Millionaires often have rules like never touch the principal, never invest more than 5% in one idea, or always automate contributions. Why? Because rules reduce decision fatigue. They make good choices automatic. And once that happens, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to follow your own system. Habits are fragile. rules make them anti-fragile. Now we've seen how high performers handle time, money, and emotion. But the last two habits are different. They're about mindset, the subtle behaviors that preserve wealth once it's built. Because becoming rich is one thing. Staying rich? That's where most people fail. Number 9. They delay gratification, but not joy. There's a common myth: rich people never spend money. But in reality, wealthy people spend intentionally. Serena Patel, a high-earning software engineer, saved 60% of her income for 5 years straight. But once per quarter, she scheduled guilt-free indulgence, a weekend getaway, a gadget splurge, or an extravagant dinner. The result? She avoided burnout and stayed on track for years. The trick wasn't deprivation, it was design. By giving joy a place on the calendar, she removed the urge to sabotage her goals. This habit is common among disciplined wealth builders. Instead of saying no forever, they say not yet, but soon, and with purpose. That's how you stay motivated. That's how you stay consistent. And that's how you make wealth sustainable. So don't be afraid to enjoy your life a little. Just make sure you find a balance that leans a little more towards work than play. Number 10. They obsess over systems, not goals. Mike Holland had a goal: become a millionaire, but he kept stalling out. Then he realized the problem. Goals are fleeting, systems are sticky. So he stopped fantasizing about the end and focused on process: a daily budget check, weekly review of his credit card spending, and a monthly net worth tracker he updated religiously. No willpower required, just rhythm. 4 years later, he wasn't just a millionaire, he was a calm, confident one. And the best part? He never felt rushed because he was building momentum instead of chasing dopamine. Millionaires don't become successful by focusing on the prize. They focus on the pattern, on the habits that build wealth. They build lives where success is inevitable because the systems are doing the heavy lifting. If goals are the destination, systems are the vehicle. These habits can seem subtle, but they're the reason some people not only build wealth, they keep it for generations. So now you've got the habits, but don't get too confident just yet, because wealth can vanish faster than it came. Don't believe me? Check out our next video: 10 millionaires who lost it all and how to avoid their mistakes. These are real people with real fortunes who fell hard, and the hidden traps they never saw coming. Learn the warning signs now, so you don't become the cautionary tale later. This has been the Money Compendium, where we think in decades, act in systems, and build legacies. Thank you so much for watching, and please, like and subscribe to help us grow the channel.